Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Hope you liked our change up in music. It's just girls today, so we figured we don't need to listen to the sports, NFL, theme song, whatever it is. But I'm Andrea. Good to see everybody, and you'll probably notice we have a new face representing Jack today. So Paige, do you want to just tell everybody who you are?
Yeah, well, my name is Paige. Thank you. And I've been with GovSpend for 4 going on 5 years, and I'm super excited to be part of this GovCast today to talk about goal setting and just be part of that today.
Awesome. And Jack, for anybody who's wondering, is driving from Maryland all the way to Florida. So wish him luck on that, I don't know, 20-something hour drive, I think it is. It's got to be a long time. But he'll be back just in time for Thanksgiving. Speaking of, so today we'll have our show. We'll also have our show next Wednesday, right before the holiday. But it's always fun to learn about family traditions. Like, you know, I feel like every family does things a little bit different in terms of maybe a random dish or traditions. I guess, what does Thanksgiving look like for you, Paige?
Well, we don't have any family down here in South Florida, so we usually do a Friendsgiving, and we get the kids together, just let them run rampant around the cul-de-sac, and spend some time with our neighbors that are very close to us, family.
I love that. Hopefully it's chilly weather for everybody to be outside.
Yes. How about you? Any family?
Yeah, well, so I normally spend it down in South Florida. My parents live here, so it's typically pretty quiet. My grandparents will come just because they live a couple hours away, my uncle, my sister. But something that we always do, which I used to get anxiety about as a kid because I used to hate talking in front of people. Now it's a little better. But we'd go around the table and we'd have to say one thing that we're thankful for. So as a kid, it stinks because you're sitting there staring at this like mountain full of delicious food that you can't wait to get into. And you have to wait for all 12 people to go around and say one thing that they're thankful for. My dad usually makes it his like speech of the hour. So that's something special to us. Do you guys make any kind of like yummy dishes or anything different?
No, so I try to make little mini pumpkin pie dishes and ramekins because we could never finish a whole thing. So I make little ones for the kids. And then my neighbor, she puts mushrooms in her stuffing. And I was never a mushroom person, but it brings so much flavor. It's so good. So if you're looking for something new, I highly recommend.
Mushrooms. I've tried it one time growing up with one of my friends. They would make a regular stuffing and then they would make a stuffing with oysters. Yeah, kind of different. Not my favorite. I'll try the mushrooms though. All right. Well, awesome. Well, I would love to introduce our guest, Angel Denker. She's going to be with us today to talk about goal setting and what that looks like for 2022. So, Angel, great to meet you.
Hey, good to see you guys.
How's everything been?
It's been great. It's been pretty exciting this end of the year. Anyway, first of the year was a little kind of sketchy, but now that the COVID's settling and people are getting back to work and all the stuff's going on now and a lot of buzz outside and people are going places. So I'm very excited for the new year. So yeah, good to be here.
Very cool. So before we actually get started, for those of you who don't know Angel, do you want to maybe just give a little background on who is Angel Danker? What do you do? How do you help companies?
So what I do is I'm a sales trainer and coach, and I work with companies that are just frustrated that their people may not be closing deals fast enough, and they want to tighten up that closing cycle, and they're worried they're not going to make their number, or they just maybe are concerned that they don't have the right people on the bus to get it done. And so that's when they bring me in, and hopefully I can do something to give a good outcome to what they learn from me.
Very cool. And we've actually, so at GovSpend, we've worked with Angel. We did for quite a few years. I know she's taught us a ton about definitely helping us throughout the sales process, but then also I think something that you're super passionate about is goal setting, right? And how being able to define goals and how to get there.
Absolutely. I mean, when I was in the field for years, I was always really, really motivated to win things. I love winning awards. I love going to President's Club. You know, I love the recognition part, but everybody's not wired the same. So what's important about goals is you need to set them yourself. I feel like companies throw numbers at people and those numbers don't have any meaning. So until something means something to you personally, I think you're not really going to do anything to affect change. So that's why I like to do this goal setting session every year with people, and I really throughout the year carry it through, and it really has been a life changer for a lot of folks.
That's awesome. So then I guess for you personally, how do you categorize or define goals?
So for me, I always hate long-term goals like a 5-year plan or something like that. That just does not motivate me. I'm like a short-term, either 30 days, 90 days. I love that. So what I find is if you break this down into pieces, you're all along the way, you're moving, you're advancing the ball. I always equate everything to football, but it is like a football game. It's like you got to get those first downs.
Sure.
And when you get a first down, there's, a little reward on the side. So, that's part of the way I do it. I just take it in chunks and work the short term toward a longer term. I think the longest term I go is 1 year.
Okay. So what kinds of time frame then, and right, in terms of setting a goal, are we also working on like setting mini goals within that? Like how does that normally work?
Absolutely. I'm a type A person. Not everybody's like me. Like I said, I think when Mike talked, he's going to tell you from an ADD perspective. And I'm like, I'm giving you the OCD today. Yeah. I'm the person that when your planner comes in the mail, you're like, oh, yay, my planner's here. I can write all this stuff and put my stickers in. And, like not everybody's like that. But I don't know if it's chicky or what, but I love the planner. And I live by the planner. So to me, like just when I get up in the morning, I just look like, what's my planner telling me? I have.
What's it look like? How busy are you?
At this stage of my life, I want to be just busy enough. I've learned also for my stress level, you have to manage your stress by the anxiety that you create in your own life. And I was talking to somebody the other day in a coaching session, and I said, I learned early on that if I have too many things on my to-do list, that does not help me be productive.
Sure.
I have to do like a 2 to 3 list. That's it. Get these 3 things done. Now, what I've learned is I can get more done if I focus on the 3 things. Mm-hmm. But if I put 7 things on my list, I'm constantly going carry over. So I try to not put more than 3 things on my plate for one day at a time.
So what do you do daily to kind of like prevent having to constantly carry over or doing too much when you're doing your daily goal setting?
One thing I tell people is recognize your peak power hours. Everybody's got a different clock. So if my peak time is 9:30 to 11:30, I do the thing that I hate the most at that time. And if that's my calling time or whatever, and I'm not saying you're only going to call 2 hours because I know people have to be on the phone a lot more than that. But think about 2.5 really productive hours. You can get so much done. Mm-hmm. And then also I know like, okay, after 3 o'clock, I'm going down like this. Now, everybody's not like me. Some people are really pumped up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Use your time and manage your time to your own clock, to your biorhythms. And everybody knows what they are. They know when they feel the best, when they're as energetic as they're going to be, and just work to that. That's what I try to do.
So I know everyone's different, but is there like not a one size fits all, but have you found that people are typically more productive at X time, or let's say 9 to 11 versus 3 to 5, or is it really just vary per person?
It really does vary per person. I find it's more like age appropriate. Working with older people, they love to go like, oh, let's do it at 7:30. And I'm like, oh, please kill me now. But I mean, I'm on at 9, I'm electric. Yeah. But for like some 20 somethings, they're not even like, okay, 10:30, they're just starting to get going. So, I tell them, look, you've got to adjust your clock. If your business has to be conducted earlier, mm-hmm. then you need to adjust your clock. So how do you adjust your clock? You start going to bed an hour earlier at night. You set an alarm. You do something that's going to make your body move in the morning. You have to play tricks. Your body will adjust to whatever you do, whatever you tell it to do. Your brain is telling your body what to do. So if you want to do something, and that's part of the goal setting, it's why is this part of your goal? Why do you want it? That's the number one question I ask before we even get started with a session.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I'm a mom, so my working hours are up until bus stop time. So, you know, I try to get all my calls out in the morning because nobody's going to call me back unless I start making those calls in the morning.
No, I love that. And I think it just varies per person, like you said. You just got to figure out, I think especially with the time change, at least for me, it's made it easier to want to do certain things in the morning because the sun is rising so much earlier. But then by like 8 p.m., I'm ready for bed. So
yeah.
I have a question. So I know when you were with us in the past, we had talked a lot about vision boards, right? I think that you were a huge, huge proponent of that. So what even, like, for somebody who's never heard of it, what goes on a vision board?
Well, you know, it's funny how this whole thing came about. I was working in when I was selling, and I was noticing there was a guy that sat close to me, and he said, I'm going to be moving. And I said, where are you moving to? And he says, I'm moving to North Carolina. And I said, really? Why? And he says, I'm building my dream house. And this is just like a verbal conversation. But then like a couple of weeks later, he comes in with like architectural drawings. And I'm like, what is that? And he goes, this is my house. And he posted them in his cubicle. And every week he'd come by and he'd go, here's the land I bought. And like 2 more months, and now like, here's the, you know, I've got the land, I've got the house, I got the architect, this is where the fireplace is going. All this stuff is happening. And he's actually visualizing it, and he's got it on his wall. So he's staring at it every day. And what we're doing for a living has nothing to do with this. But what he's doing is he's planning his next life.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow. And literally within a year, he was gone. He was gone. He had moved to North Carolina. He had a brand new house. It was built, you know, just the way he said. And I was like, wow, how powerful is that? So knowing that, I said, there's something about looking at something every day. And that's where the vision board idea, now the vision board idea has been around since I think the book, The Secret. And even before that, it's like, it's ancient. Mm-hmm. It's an ancient philosophy. We know like 75% of the people are visual. So, and I know I'm a visual. I've taken, you know, psychological profile tests to know that I'm a visual person. It's right. Like somebody can tell me something. I go, no, let me sketch it, or let me, you know, draw that out. Let me write it down. So the vision board is your idea. So I'll show you a sample of one of my vision boards. So I had this vision board, and I think this was 2019. And there's just things I wanted on there. Debt free. I had just paid off my home mortgage, and I was really excited, but I wanted that feeling to continue. So I wanted to remain debt free. So I want to remind myself that you need to stay debt free, because debt free is only a state. Mm-hmm. It can change. You buy one thing, you know, looking at that little pontoon boat, that could have made me not be debt free. So I want to make sure that if I put that pontoon boat on there, I'm going to have the money to buy it. And then a nice vacation and health. And I wanted a new kitchen, and I wanted a library of sorts for my office. Cool. So what that vision board is showing is things that I want. And then my spiritual thing. So how do I start with a vision board? So I tell people, do a vision board. And they'll come back and go, I don't know what to do. So I go, look, it's the W4H is the rule for the vision board. And the first thing you say is why? Why is this on here? Why do I want this? Mm-hmm. The second thing is, what am I going to do when I get this? What am I going to do when I get this? How am I going to get this? When do I want to have it by? Right? So am I going to be willing to do some things that other people won't do to get this? So what, when, why, how, and then what will happen after? Is this something that stays in my life, or is this something that changes every year? So all these questions, when I sit down with somebody and they put their vision board together, and I look at it and I go, why do you have this on your vision board? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that for me. I'm saying that so that they can know if it's valid.
Right.
It's like you ask yourself the question, like how important is it? Like you want to gauge it because, people throw things up on a vision board and, oh, that's a nice to have. But if I really want it and I'm looking at that every day, I think it becomes more powerful as time goes on. And so the funny thing is about the vision board, I talked to you about architecture.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other pictures I have is a thing I wanted to do in my house. I wanted to do a wall with floating shelves and a cabinet.
Yeah.
Do you have that one? So the actual inspiration piece is on the left. So I said, "Ooh, I like that. I want that. I know exactly where I want it." And I had it built. So my picture's on the right. It's not exactly the same. It's very similar, but I had a vision and I made it happen for my house. So just like an architect would do that, you can do that for your own life with your vision board. And I think it's so powerful knowing that, hey, once I do it, and I love to show people a picture, I'm like, I did this, it's like, no, somebody else had the idea. I just copied it, right? You don't have to create everything new.
So then do you suggest when people are making a vision board, does it matter if you're putting like your short term, your long term? Like if somebody said, I want to buy my dream house in 5 years, do we post it or is that too far?
No, actually, if you look at my 2 vision boards, it's very funny because like put up the other vision board, the one that's a little different. So now here's the next year. Now there's actually 3 things that are on there and they're same old, same old. I still had the kitchen on there because I still hadn't gotten the kitchen and I still had the pontoon boat on there and I still had the library, but now it looks a little different.
Mm-hmm.
So, and a different vacation, et cetera, living the debt-free life means I'm continuing on in my life with that. But I sat down one day and I went back to one of my old planners and I said, do you know, I have been visualizing this kitchen since 2016 and I still didn't have it. And it got me frustrated. And I said, that's it. This year we are doing the kitchen. So in January, the kitchen was started. So yeah, if it could be a house and you could be keeping that moving to the next vision board, but hopefully it's nagging at you to where you go, you know what, this is ridiculous.
Yeah,
I've had this on my vision board for 5 years.
Sure.
Now, funny story is the pontoon boat is an issue that I found out that to buy that pontoon boat when I started doing the research, because I always tell people, oh, you've got a vacation on your vision board. How much is that going to cost? And they're like, oh, I don't know. And I said, well, you got to call. You got to find out about the tickets. You got to compare. You got to know what time of the year you're going. Like, let's get you there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the whole idea is your vacation's free, right? Because when you come back from vacation, I want you paying for vacation. Oh, what a thought. So when I found out about the pontoon boat and I found out I have to put in a lift, it's going to cost this, it started losing, like I was not desiring it as much.
Yeah.
So then my husband comes up with the ideas, how much would it cost to rent a pontoon boat every quarter? And so we added it up and we said, it'd probably be really smart to rent a boat before we buy one.
Yep.
So and also keeping in with the other goal of being debt free, I didn't want to incur another $30,000, $40,000 in my bank book or putting it on my monthly nut. So I said, you know what? That's smart. That's wise. So the pontoon boat will not be on my next. So it's okay to change it. It's your board. That's the beauty of it. It's yours.
Yeah.
It's changeable. You could do it every quarter if you wanted to. I like to just do the vision board for the year, keep it, near my computer and just work off of that.
Yeah, I like that.
So what is it about creating, visualizing that helps us carry out our goals? I
will tell you another story to go with that. A girl that was working for me, she was like I call a C player, not great, not horrible. It's just like in the middle of the pack all the time. And I told her a story and it was a visualization story. And I said, we had a big awards banquet. Every year we had this, and it was like the Academy Awards. It was like huge. And everybody got real excited because you got to get, go get your dress. Oh, what are you wearing? Getting your hair and nails done and all this stuff. And so I tell the story, and I painted a picture, and I said, I want everybody to close their eyes. And I said, it's like a week before the awards banquet. And I want you to visualize that you're winning the award this year. And you bought this fantastic dress, and you're going to go get your hair done. You're going to get your nails done, and you're going to be walking down that carpet when they call your name, and all the people are going to be going, yay. And they're standing up cheering for you, and you're walking up, and the president of the company is giving you your award. And you're just like, wow, I worked so hard for this. And now you're shaking the hand of the president of the company, and you're receiving your whatever they give you. And all this, crowd, clapping and all this applause. And it was so weird because you never know how your stories are going to hit somebody. That year, this girl that was on my team won her first ever award. And later she gets up in the front and does a speech. And she tells everybody that it's because of my story. Like,
that's so sweet.
It's like, wow, she bought it. Like, she bought it because I've won the award. I know what it feels like. So I just put her in my shoes. And I was like, wow, this is powerful. Like, she visualized herself winning, and she won it. And it was like, I don't think, she was going to do that on her own without putting herself up on the stage and doing it. So it's very powerful. If that answers the question.
I think what you said is true though, right? Because I think that also portrays like the confidence that you can get there. Because if you're so in your head, it's about anything. Let's just relate it to sales. Like, you know what, this goal is so hard. There's no shot that I'm getting selling 100K or whatever it is. Like, you're probably not going to get it, right? That person who's in their head, they could be the best person. But if you're so negative and you have this negative self-talk, it's not going to happen versus the person who's like, I got it. I'm going to get there. This is what I'm going to do. Visualizing, I think, is super, super key.
Well, I remember going into your office, Andrea, and because y'all had boards, and the first thing we talked about was putting up your board, right? Mm-hmm. And then I said, okay, don't count up, count down, because it's a negative mindset, right? So if you know your goal is 200, every time you make a sale, eat away at the 200.
Right. Yeah, I remember that.
It becomes easier, and you go, oh, I only got 20,000. No, come on, we can do this. It's the same thing as when you run a race and you're like, oh man, I only got, one more lap, I can do it. But when you start to try to climb the mountain from the bottom up, it's so much harder. So I just enjoy the countdown rather than the climb up. I think it's just in your head.
That's how we have we have different opportunity sheets where we track goals and deals, and we have what the goal is. We have what minus what we've gotten, so we know what's left versus like, holy cow, how the heck are we going to get to whatever X amount of number,
Yes. I love the countdown board. I think that's helpful for goal setting. Anything else? I have one thing I think, and I think it's at the end, is like, what do you know you need? And I think you need helpers. Right? I mean, if I want to do something, whether it's like even lose weight, I mean, some people had that on their board. They want to lose weight. And I go, that's not a goal. Why? Because what does it mean?
Right.
What does it mean? Oh, okay. I want to lose weight because I'll feel better about myself. What does that mean? And I just keep peeling back the onion until they say what they really want. And one girl just said, I want to look like this. And she had a picture of herself like 10 years ago. And I said, okay,
why?
Now, there's things you need to do to do that. But you already know you can look like that because that's how you used to look.
Right.
Right? So put the picture up and then start planning toward that. And then the first thing I would do is say, who is going to help you with this? Because accountability partner, I mean, that is something... You need somebody to nudge you, help you. Not somebody just go, hey, why are you eating that cake? No, that isn't helpful, right? Somebody that says, yes, I will go to the gym with you 3 times a week. Or yes, I will pay for you to get a personal trainer or whatever it is, to really start doing it. Because it doesn't matter what the goal is. You have to make the plan first.
Sure.
So what's the plan?
So then is that what you would say, like when it comes to success, what's your like secret sauce or like secret equation that assures that you're going to have success?
So the 4 R's are this. You have what I just said, recruit somebody to be a partner with you in it. Then you need to review. You need to do a personal review. How am I doing? Whether you want to do that every week, every quarter, I like quarterly reviews, and I actually set up like a meeting for it. Like my husband and I go, like, we're getting away one weekend, we're doing a quarterly review. We do that with our marriage. And remember, I didn't touch on it, but it's not only about business. Your goals should be health goals, spiritual goals, education goals, financial goals as well, so that everything is rounding out in your life. You're trying to create balance. Then you reward yourself when you have attained either part of the goal or the goal itself. What's going to be the reward? Right? So have a reward ready. I mean, when I was in outside sales, it was so like, I would just go, okay, I'm going to go see these 3 customers, and then I'm going to have frozen yogurt and read my book. I mean, really, that's how I rewarded myself. I was motivated to go veg out because, you're on high, intense adrenaline while you're standing in front of a customer all day, or whether talking on the phone. You might say, well, I'm going to the gym at this time, but I'm not going to gym until I do 2.5 hours of calls. So you reward, and then you finally readjust. Just like I said, the pontoon boat's not going on my next thing because I got enough information to find out that maybe that wasn't a wise decision or a wise goal for me or for us at this time.
Sure.
Right? Not saying I'll never buy a pontoon boat. If I just have a bunch of money thrown in my lap one day, I might just go say, I don't care how much it costs.
You're going to go buy the yacht.
Yeah. I might buy a bigger boat. So, you readjust. So it's recruit, review, reward, and readjust.
I like that. I think what stands out to me a lot about that is the recruit part, because it's, when you have a goal that you're doing yourself, I think that's fine, right? If you're super motivated by that goal, you can do it. I think it's very much like mind over matter. But I think if you have an accountability partner, whether it be your spouse, your friend, your mom, like anybody who can help push you, that you can go to and be like, I'm falling off. Like, for example, and this is right, let's just chat about it a little bit. Like Paige, like, she's on my team, and there's days where she's like, I know what the goal is. I know, but I just need you to like, give me some good self-talk, like point me in the right direction, where like, she can absolutely do it on her own. Like, she doesn't need me or anybody. But I think having somebody to kind of steer you that way, I think is super, super helpful.
Well, it's always great when you both
hold
have
up a mirror.
What do you say?
Even if it's just to hold up a mirror.
For sure.
When you have a friend and somebody that cares about you, helping you with your goal, that's great. I mean, everybody doesn't have that. And, I coach some people one-on-one, and I tell them, are you ready to invest in this? Like, will you invest money and time to achieve it? Because I can tell them, I'll guarantee you will get your goal. And they go, how do you do that? And I go, because I will stick to the plan.
Yeah.
I will make you stick to the plan. You're going to screw it up, not me. Right. So if I know, like, every Tuesday at 10 o'clock, we're talking and I'm reviewing, I'm doing the steps with them. It's theirs to mess up.
Yeah.
But if they tell me I really want to do this, like even a personal trainer will tell you the same thing. Right. So it's who you recruit and how invested you are in it.
Definitely.
So you mentioned, quarterly check-in, weekly check-in. What would you say is like the best frequency to do progress checks for yourself to accomplish some of your goals?
Well, the to-do list is a progress check, right? If you have a to-do list every day and you're either not doing it, you're not getting to it, then something's wrong, right? And that's usually a time thing. You just don't have your time under your control. I think people don't realize how much you are in control of your own destiny, and you have control of those hours of your day. So you have to make a choice. What are those hours going to be filled with? So your to-do list is a daily check. And then for the end of the week, I mean, there's planners that have a weekly check. I really like the monthly one because at the end of the month, I have more time to like meditate on, okay, what is happening in this month? And what I love about months is they usually have a holiday or some event,
Mm-hmm.
right? Every week doesn't have that, but in a month, there's usually something. And, even if it's about, like we just talked about, I guess you guys were opening with Thanksgiving because that's coming up, right? Yeah. In sales, you're always struggling for, what am I going to talk to these people about? How do I create, like I want to set bonding and rapport up front. So, just looking at the month, just talk about, hey, how's daylight savings time going for you? Have you adjusted to your schedule? Things like that. And then when you look at the month, I think it's easier to look back. Okay, now December's coming, holidays, Christmas, all that. How am I going to work my goals toward that? I know I have a short month coming up. Am I putting too much in that month? Is it reasonable? Is it rational to think I'm going to do all this stuff?
Yeah.
When I'm taking 2 weeks off or something crazy, So yeah, I like the monthly thing. And then I told you already, I do a quarterly review, whereas that's like a session to go away from the house, get away a weekend, and just really go, are we on track here? What's that look like? We talked about it, 3 months ago. This doesn't look like it's happening. Or, man, we really killed it this quarter. We just did great. We're in balance. Or, you're out of balance. I really worked really hard, but I did not do anything healthy for myself. I did not do anything for my spirit. I did not do anything for other people. So, keeping that balance going, I think that's a quarterly review. And again, starting the vision board at the beginning of the year or at the end of the following year.
I'm so happy you mentioned the quarterly review. Is it something that my fiance and I used to do, and we haven't been, but I remember one day he's like, this might sound cheesy. I don't know what you think, but I saw on Facebook, this girl I went to college with, she posted this long message on Facebook, to everybody on there saying that her and her, I think it was husband, would do these quarterly reviews, and she would talk about what they talked about. And she was just saying how successful it had been. So one day he asked me, I'm like, that's not cheesy. Let's do it. So we did it for a couple quarters, and it was great. We would come in there prepared with, these are some goals. These are things I need to work on. Maybe these are suggestions for us. Right. And it was super helpful. And then we kind of fell off the wagon. So I need to write that down again. I like that.
I'm glad you mentioned it. A partner, if it's somebody you live with, you need to share your vision board with that person because they're the person closest in your life. And if they're saying, I don't like that on your vision board, or, you don't want them undermining what you're trying to do.
Sure.
So you need to have that conversation. So one of the things that Mike and I did was we did 2 separate vision boards, and then we went to our corners and did our own vision boards. Then we came together and I said, okay, now you pitch me yours and I'll pitch you mine. And, some of that changed, So his doesn't look exactly like mine. Mine doesn't look exactly like his, but I don't think we're getting in the way of stepping on top of each other, So how can I help you get that? How can you help me? How can I help you? Yeah. I think that's really good. And for marriage or partnerships, it's really good to do that. Why not? They do it in business, right?
Yeah. No, I like it.
You got to work your life. So much of how we do marriage is just like business. We have to have that finance talk. We have to have that, parenting talk. Well, you'd have a review at work and say, how are we doing? What's not working? What are we getting rid of?
Yeah.
Same thing.
So it sounds like this works for you, and it has for the girl with the, seeing her vision of getting the award, right? It's worked for some people, but is this going to work for everybody? Like, how do we know?
I think it would work if you're committed to doing it. The people that I've worked with, several people that did it actually last year. Unfortunately, we were in the middle of doing this, and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And in that scurry, a lot of those people went and got other jobs. But one girl, I remember her and I having a conversation, and I said, you're not working in your gift. And now she is. And, I said, why are you here? At the time. And not that I'm trying to get people to quit their jobs.
Yeah.
But it's like, Some people have a gift and then they're really passionate about it and they're doing something else and they're just going through the motions. So you have to ask yourself, am I working in my giftedness? And I think if you are, anything that you put your mind to is going to happen because you're using your God-given talent to do it. If you tell me like, oh God, I hate sales, I'm just struggling to get up every morning, it's very hard for me to coach to that.
Sure.
The first thing I'll say is, well, why are you here? Let's review whether you really need a different job, and that's because that's going to affect everything you do. So I know it works if it's real, if it's your goal. I can say, if I reviewed it with you, but if I say put up a vision board and do it on your own, I can't guarantee it. I can guarantee my methodology if I'm your coach. If that makes sense.
I get that.
And, I'm not saying I'm the only one that can do it. If you have the accountability, you're doing the review and you're doing all that, it will work. It will work. But the beauty of it is you can't fail with a vision board, right? Because just like I can say, I can take that pontoon boat off of the vision board. If something becomes inconsequential, non-important in my life, or my life changes, right? If you have a child, your vision board is going to change, I promise you. Right, Paige?
Oh, yeah. I was just about to ask, sometimes over the years, you have these certain goals of, what you want your life to look like, just like the pontoon boat for you. So when you're continuously resetting these goals and continually visualizing, manifesting these things in your life, how do you stay committed? Like, how do you stay committed to keeping on track for those goals as it's constantly evolving?
I think when the idea of the picture of the house, if you were building a house, right, you would have to lay a foundation, right? And then you would have to start purchasing items to build. And then you would have a contractor involved in running that show. So I think you kind of work it the same way and say, have I laid the foundation, first of all, for this to happen? Because you can throw a picture up of anything, right? Yeah, I'm going to put a Maserati on there. But is that real?
Yeah.
Do you know how much a Maserati costs? So when you go back to those who, what, where, when, why questions, and I told some people, take that off your board. That's kind of, funny, but you're not really going to do that, So you've got to get yourself in reality first and then say, you know what? I may only have 3 pictures on there, right? I don't need to have 10 pictures. Maybe I have my life in balance, or one thing is really out of whack that I really need to focus on this year, and that's what I said, parenting. I mean, that can change everything with work, your finances. So, you've got things that are affecting other things. So the first thing is to fill out the bubbles and say, this bubble is going to take this much time. This bubble is going to take this much time. Because there's no way. You got 8 hours a day. You're not going to say, I have 1 hour, I'm going to be spiritual. I have 1 hour for work. That is not real, right? So you say, I'm going to fill out the bubbles, and this is the percentage of time I'm going to focus on this. And that work is going to be the biggest piece part of it. But family time is important. If you don't make that, and if you don't, actually set aside time for it, it's going to be like, throw that food on the table, get the kids, shove them out the door. And that's not family time.
Yeah.
So you really have to be, I would say the word is purposeful.
Ooh,
right? Intentional. Intentional and committed. And committed is the last part. Yeah. If you're really committed, it'll work. If you're not, it doesn't. If it doesn't, you can adjust. I wouldn't be doing a vision board every week. I think that's really something, the minimum I would do it is every 3 months. I like it for a year. And again, be ready for the monkey wrench, because it's Murphy's Law, right? Something's going to happen, you know? That's why you've got to have that readjustment time. But I love the reward part, because I think whenever you do one small thing, like if you're talking about a number, if I was running a team and my number was 100,000, I would just play a game and say, every time we get to 25, we're going to go to lunch, or we're going to, get coffee for everybody, or we're going to, not anything little, because, you just want to keep them going. You want to do those small rewards. Hey, we got here. And maybe build it up, maybe 25, and then 50 is a little bit of better reward, and 75 is better. And then, hey, we get to go. We really do something.
Yeah, so, I like that.
Make it fun. Goal setting should be fun, not tedious.
Yeah. So I know we're coming up a little bit on time. I think that the content today has been awesome. I think a lot of times we say we have a goal, but we have no idea how we're going to get there, or when do we want to get there. I think so. Everything you've said has been super, super helpful. Is there any other like final words that you want to leave our group with, or just anything that we may have not covered?
If you really want to get serious about this, I will give you my phone number, and I'll give you a free chat to get you started. I would love to hear from anybody that thinks that, hey, I've tried this, it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. I promise you one thing, and I really tell you this because I know it does work. I've done everything, and I try to not train people or preach anything I haven't tried. So the reason why I believe it so passionately is because I have done it, and I do it. And, I'll just tell you that the kitchen thing was so crazy. Here's like all the expenses for the kitchen, and I wrote it down, and I actually started with X amount of money, and every time he told me something, and I even stayed to the budget. So, I also love financial stuff. So if you're struggling with that, that is my thing. I'm like the anal person. Like I said, I'm the OCD. If you're OCD, you're going to love this. If you're not, you're going to have to talk to Mike. So one of us will get you either way.
So what's going to be, I know you said you'd give people your phone number, but for any guests watching today, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah. So my email is angeldenker@gmail.com. And I have my website, sameteamselling.com.
Okay.
And the number's 954-675-3790.
Hopefully you don't get any weirdos out there. No, I'm just kidding.
Even if I do, it's okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Angel. It was great catching up.
Hey, good to see you guys. Hope to see you soon.
Sounds good. Have a good Thanksgiving.
Take care.
All right. You too.
Bye. Well, that was fun. What'd you think?
Oh, I got so many tips for next month.
You love this stuff.
I do love this stuff. I'm all big into manifesting what you want out of life. When you accomplish certain goals, resetting, prioritizing.
For sure.
Like I mentioned earlier, I have kids, so constantly resetting and creating believable and achievable goals.
Yeah, no, I loved it. And that's really what the focus is for the rest of the year as we go into 2022 after crazy, working on almost 2 years of COVID and this craziness, is going to be focusing on goal setting. And the different guests that we have on here all have great experience and different methodologies to getting there. Can we look at the calendar too for the rest of the year? Who do we have coming on next week? Next week is the 24th. So Deborah will be here with us next week. Then we've got Kevin, Ian, Scott, Brenda. So for those of you who've been watching, I'm sure a lot of these are going to be familiar faces. The content's going to be much, much different than when we initially had them on our call. But I think it's going to be super, super great. So we're excited.
Can't wait to tune in.
All right. Well, that sounds good. Well, let's wrap. And then we will chat next Wednesday. Have a pre-Thanksgiving goal setting sesh. So, all right, let's have a good day. Bye, everyone.